Kia ora, folks. Thanks for tuning in. This is a bit of a different video for me. So this is a run I've done of the Splatterhouse arcade game recently from 1988, quite an old one. I'm playing it through the Namco Museum on Switch. It was on sale over Christmas, so I bought it just for this game and thoroughly enjoyed it, and I played it several more times, and I've actually gotten to the point where I've been doing Deathless runs of the game, aiming for no hit at some stage, but that hasn't yet happened as of this recording. So this is my Deathless run that I've recorded over a session of playing, and basically I'll discuss the strategies as we go along and sort of discuss where the run can be improved as well. So first stage, you're going to notice a lot of jumping kicks from me, and basically it just helps the level move along a bit faster, because most of the attacks you'll see, I'm going to do a crouch kick on this bat that's coming in low. With the jump kick you can maintain that forward momentum. You end up playing this first level quite a lot, so I try to get through it as quickly as possible. Pick up the bat. I ignored the cleaver initially at the start of the level because I want to just jump kick my way through, but having that longer range with the plank is helpful. And here you're going to see a really compelling strategy for this first stage boss. I'm being sarcastic, of course. So basically just stand on the right side, not right against the wall sometimes, because it may sometimes allow the jumping flesh worms to hit you when they're coming in from the very left. So you usually just walk somewhat to the right, and then occasionally duck kick when those grounded ones come up to you. But otherwise you mainly want to be aiming high with your punches. And you do get an extra heart for every level you pass. You get a maximum of 5, so if I were to beat this level without getting hit, you wouldn't get another heart on top of it. I'm actually going to pick up the cleaver here. Those green ghouls, they take 2 hits if you're punching them, but with the cleaver, it just takes 1. And one thing you're going to notice about the mechanics of this game, gameplay-wise, design-wise, it's quite simple, but mechanically there is a little bit going on under the hood. You'll notice that attacks, they have a decent follow-through, but you can cancel attacks into themselves. And when I say that, I mean you can attack and then swing again almost immediately, and even swing in the other direction, and you're going to see that in this room. So you pick up the plank, and these are water monsters. I'm not sure what you'd call them. They actually have longer attack range than you. Of course, I know where they're going to pop up, so I'm just swinging into their spawn location pretty much, but they have longer range than you, so having this plank's helpful. In a future level, we're not going to have the plank, and then you'll see I employ a different strategy. But you see here, I'm cancelling my forward-facing attack immediately into a behind attack to deal with the pincer motion the two of them make on you. And 2 more monsters, and jump over the little mine, and we're on to the second stage boss. This one's really interesting, one of the more interesting bosses in the game. It's like a poltergeist. All the bosses in this game are pretty sick. You know, I'm not going to talk much about the impact of this game, historically, or anything like that, but this is such a stunning and, interesting, narratively and even mechanically, it's very solid for the time. 1988, this game goes hard. And you punch knives as well. That's a bit of a meme, if you've seen any content on YouTube for this game. So here, basically, you want to hit the knives 3 times, and you'll just notice just how meaty Rick, your character's punches are. A lot of the times you can be, the knife will be above your shoulder, and you'll still hit it. And then the stage 5 boss, spoilers if you haven't played this game, that's a pretty big showcase for just the anti-air properties on Rick's jab. This third level's relatively short. There's only one room properly, and you'll see a weird occurrence that I rarely see happen. The dog spawns behind you. I could not tell you why that happens. That's a weird happening for me. So you hit the dog once and then it runs back. Sometimes you can get 2 low kicks in and stop it before it does the pouncing motion, but otherwise you just kind of want to keep the low kicks out, wait for it to come back to you. Quick strat, I throw the stone at the edge of the pit there and it hits the little guy who's hanging on the rope that's now dangling above Rick now. And now I've got the strategy I'm using here is I'm taking the shotgun that you get at the beginning of the level throughout the entire stage, just to showcase it, and now I'm juggling the 2 guns, so I'm carrying them both forward to the boss, and this guy all but requires 1 shotgun. I forget if it's in this run. Yes, there we go. So I've got 2 shotguns for that boss, so I could have just finished him off with the other gun I had, but I did want to showcase that even if you only get 1 shotgun to the boss, you can also power slide into him, and given you hit him relatively early in the attack, the 2 hitboxes will connect. It's a strong move, it does 2 damage per hit, which is the same the shotgun does, which makes it exactly the amount of damage needed to finish him off. And you'll see a bit of a blunder from me. I never go down to this stage, but you will see a consistent strategy to deal with these flesh worm rooms. Essentially, you see them wriggling up, you place your punch exactly where they're going to turn up, with respect to the ones crawling towards you as well, but you primarily want to make sure that the ones behind and directly in front of you don't spawn. Occasionally 2 will spawn in the same spot and you got to double punch to make sure they're going to be finished off. Finish the room off with a slide just for security, and once you're exiting the room, climbing up a ladder, going through the doorway, your character's invincible, so there's no worries there about getting hit by any stragglers. And you basically come out in the same spot in the room, so I do like that about this game. The design, kind of interesting, kind of cool. It has different rooms depending on the route you take, or if you fall into a pit. Which is pretty fun. I'm sure that got a few people excited back in the days in the arcades. This last set of like rotating blades, once the second one comes into view, you can just jump over and Rick will automatically walk out of the stage if you hold right, and you won't get hit. Now, this is another element of seeming randomness. I'm not sure if there's a way of controlling the AI of these doppelgangers that come out of the mirrors. Generally, every 4 to 5 mirrors they'll come out. I thought there was a set pattern, but I think with continued runs, that doesn't seem to be the case, and there's where it can get unlucky. If they do a jumping slide kick, there's very little counterplay from what I can tell. Your character's just a bit too slow to avoid that, honestly. But maybe some other experts might know. So I generally just deal with them. I walk into them as they're coming out. They don't have a hitbox yet. Throw in a couple jabs. If you're really quick and well positioned, you can throw in 3 jabs and kill them instantly. And that's probably optimal, but the easiest, most consistent way I've found is just double jab, jump kick, goes over almost everything they have, but you may get unlucky with the jumping power slide that they throw out. This boss, I hope there's nobody offended by the symbol that it has right here. This game's pretty gory and pretty provocative for the time. Just a lot of weird heads. Like, this boss can either be annoying or just really weirdly easy, and it all just depends on how the heads fly towards you while you're trying to hit the cross. If you just walk back and forth like this, just whacking the cross, and then the slow-moving heads that come into the center of the stage towards you, there's really no immediate threat you can't react to. It doesn't seem too hard, so as long as you're walking back and forth consistently, the heads won't really move in a way that you can't predict or get rid of. The boss also doesn't have much health, so there's that to be said too. And here's usually the part of the run where I take a a sip of water or something like that, or like just do anything because there's like a whole minute pause listening to the church hymn. I think if you were to ever remake this game or remaster it, I reckon you'd just cut the hymn off with a scream. So this is stage 5, this is the longest level in the game. This is kind of the climax of the game, at least narratively. Starts off with the plank. I believe this is the last time we're going to see the plank, or the 2x4, as the Americans would call it. I'm a Kiwi, so 2x4. I guess that sounds cooler. I forget if I get hit in this stage. This room's interesting. The only hands that jump out of those flesh pits are the ones waving their finger. They're either beckoning you or flipping you off. I can't tell which. The slopes also can kind of mess with your momentum. I recommend just jumping, because that way you're able to control your own momentum a little more as you go along. Doing a bit of platforming, just try to hold right, and then if you have to go left, reposition yourself with a jump. I personally just take this lower ladder because I do have a strategy for this room. Oh no, that's the next room, excuse me. So we're back with the water monsters again, and now that we don't have the 2x4, jump kicks are going to be the way to go, because you can move into their range with your own attack. You don't have to worry about their own range advantage against you. With the jump kicks, you can also hold down to do multiple kicks, and I'll explain why that's important later. So the strategy I've just used here, the boss, he flies back and forth across the stage after you hit him, and if he finishes his incantation, he revives all the zombies in the room, which is really annoying. So I'm trying to get through them, and I power slide into the first 2 zombies because I want to get to him before he finishes it, and I'm pretty sure that's the only way to do it. I punch that second zombie that comes in so that I can hit both with the power slide, and if you roll back you'll see I punch him, and then he's right in range for me to hit both with the power slide. Another flesh worm room, it's kind of already been there in terms of strategy with these kind of rooms. There's nothing really too surprising. But yes, with the flying kicks, if you hold down, you can do multiple flying kicks, and the reason you'd want to do that is because when in this game, with the exception of some weapons, you essentially spend a hitbox when you hit an enemy. So if there's a situation where you're doing a jump and you're about to kick an enemy, and there's another one right there, you're going to want to hold down and do another kick to essentially put out 2 hitboxes. Otherwise you'll just spend one and you'll be vulnerable. So that's why it's good to hold down and kick. And yeah, anyway, spoilers. This is probably one of the most disturbing moments in a video game from this decade, I want to say. Girlfriend like mutating into a monster, and this is what I was talking about with the anti-air properties on the jab. You're going to see, essentially I want to position myself so on these big jumps, so the boss is going into the corner I want it to, so it's over me, I punch to the left to send it that way, and these short jumps make short work of that. And essentially, every time you hit them, you want to stay like about a third of the screen away, so that there's no chance of the claw hitting you, and you can also react. And in this third phase, it gets trickier. They start doing small hops towards you, and as long as you wait till the claw comes out and then weave back in, you can react to either a small jump or a short hop forward, and then react with a punch. The hitbox that the boss has while jumping isn't actually very big, and you can easily react with a jab much of the time, so not too hard. I did kind of screw up at the beginning though. Stage 6, so this is like the heart of the house, essentially. One of the hardest stages in the game to really get down. much of my strategy is trying to be quite proactive with getting rid of the bubbles. Otherwise they'll hatch into little mutant demon spawn or whatever. This game's just, it's just like that, okay? And trying to interrupt the bubbles. With the grounded ones, you want to just try and low kick them and get them rid of as soon as possible. If one goes off screen and they hatch, you know, there's really no stopping that, and that's okay because you still have plenty of time to, you know, get ready to intercept them with a jab. And if a bubble's up in the air and you think you can hit it with a jump kick, I try to do that. But mainly I try to stay forward and take control of the front, because if anything hatches behind you or bubbles form behind you, I mean, that's okay, the stage is moving forward anyway, so you're in a better place if you can do that. Okay, so you want to be really fast on the attack button against this boss, because a lot of bubbles spawn. I was very lucky, I believe, on this one, because there weren't any bubbles spawning behind you, which can happen. It's not so fast that you can't manage, but it does introduce a bit of complexity into what is otherwise just a huge beatdown, alternating between low kicks and, you know, jabs to get rid of the higher bubbles, or the bubbles coming up from the back of the heart that might not get hit by your low kicks. You just hit it, I believe it has 30 health, or something like that. This is the last stage. The only real difficulty with this first section is differentiating between the burning logs and these, like, fire demon things, because they look quite similar at first glance. So you really just want to pay attention to look ahead of your character and just pay attention to what the arcing motion of the flaming thing that's coming towards you. And if it's a demon, just wait for it to jump over you. If it's a log, jump over it. You want to be a bit careful on those last two. You want to do a small jump in between, stay to the left if you can. So this is the final boss, and here's another bit of a random element to it, I believe, with the rocks. I don't think there's any way to influence what way the rocks are going, and I've just sometimes got unlucky. I've been on, like, no-hit runs, which have ended at this point because I get hit by a rock that I don't believe I could have avoided just due to the speed of the character. And sometimes the hands swing at you in later stages in the fight, and I've been trying to short hop, but even then sometimes it's hard to react to the rocks coming down. Generally my strategy is land a few hits when the head comes up, walk back so I have more room to dodge the rocks if they come down, and then just make sure I'm dodging the hands throughout. So I'm going to make space, okay, rocks free, and then we hit the head some more, dodge the hands as we go. You can jump over them, or you can walk sideways out of their way as well. Generally, try to walk out of the way if possible, and save the jump for insurance, because you can both walk out of the way, and if you know you're not going to make it while walking away, then just keep the jump for safekeeping. And I believe it's about 4 to 5 phases of just laying the smack down on the head there. And there you go, that's a no-death run of the game, so relatively proud of that. This is not an easy game. I imagine other people have done no-hit runs. I haven't seen any on YouTube. I've seen Deathless runs for sure. But if somebody knows if there's a no-hit run, I'd love to see that too. Otherwise I'm going to work on my own. This is just where my progress is at. Might come back to this game and see if I can get that coveted no-hit run. I'm sure other people on the internet have done it. The series, kind of like the Souls games, you know, it does kind of incentivize these kind of runs. I believe the second game has a Game Master difficulty where you only get 2 hits. So I think even the designers and therefore the players, you know, kind of understand that these games incentivize people to trying to do these kind of challenges for themselves. But yeah, aside from a couple sections, we can get a bit unlucky. Mainly the strategies you can employ throughout this, you know, the strategies I've used throughout this video you can employ in your own run if you just want to play the game for fun. I think this game's very much worth experiencing, and there's a few strategies in there that'll probably help even casual runs too. Especially level 3 boss. I feel like that one's very hard to beat without knowing how to interact with him, having the shotgun, knowing how to do the slide. The slide is done by jumping, and then you hold down forward and hit the attack button just as you're landing. And that's the strongest attack in the game. There's probably a few more places I could employ it. In terms of the port, the port seems good to me. I don't know if there's any experts on the game who played it through MAME emulation that think, this version sucks or what have you. I know the Switch does have inherent base delay in terms of inputs. But I've had fun with this version, and it's nowhere near, the delay is nowhere near enough for me to consider, not running this version, as it's the most accessible for me. But that is the run, so hope you enjoyed, and if this helped you in your own runs, casually or otherwise, feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching.